What would you do if a single moment of courage could unravel an empire of prejudice? In the bustling chaos of O'Hare International Airport, 17-year-old Aisha Thompson stood at the heart of a storm she never saw coming. Her backpack slung over one shoulder, she clutched her boarding pass, her eyes bright with the anticipation of visiting her grandmother in Atlanta. But what began as a routine flight turned into a battle that would shake an airline to its core. Aisha, a straight A student with dreams of becoming a civil rights lawyer, was no stranger to the subtle stings of bias. Growing up black in a small Midwest town, she'd felt the weight of sideways glances and whispered assumptions. Yet nothing prepared her for the moment she stepped up to the gate for Flight 472. The flight attendant, a woman named Karen Wells, scanned her boarding pass with a scowl. "This can't be right," Karen snapped, her voice sharp enough to cut through the terminal's hum. "You don't look like you belong in first class." The words hit Aisha like a slap. Heads turned. The line behind her grew quiet. Aisha's heart pounded, but she squared her shoulders. "I paid for this ticket," she said, her voice steady despite the tremble in her hands. Karen's eyes narrowed, her tone escalating. "Don't get smart with me. Step aside, or I'll call security." The threat hung heavy, and the crowd's murmurs grew louder. Aisha felt the eyes of strangers, some sympathetic, others cold, boring into her. But Aisha wasn't just any teenager. She'd spent years volunteering at a local community center, learning from activists who taught her the power of standing firm. She pulled out her phone, her fingers moving with purpose. "I'm not stepping anywhere," she said, her voice rising. "You're discriminating against me, and I'm recording this." The camera's red light blinked on, capturing Karen's reddening face and the gasps of onlookers. Karen's composure cracked. "You people always cause trouble," she shouted, the words echoing like a gunshot. The terminal froze. A mother pulled her child closer. A businessman dropped his coffee. Aisha's hands shook, but her resolve didn't. She dialed a number she'd saved for emergencies, a contact from the community center, a lawyer named Marcus Reed, who specialized in civil rights cases. "Mr. Reed," Aisha said, her voice clear over the phone. "I'm at O'Hare, Gate 12. A flight attendant is targeting me because of my race. I need help." Marcus's calm, commanding voice came through. "Stay on the line, Aisha. Record everything. I'm contacting the media and the airline's legal team now." What happened next was a whirlwind. Aisha's video, live-streamed to her small but growing social media following, went viral within minutes. Hashtags like "Justice for Aisha" and "Racist Airline" trended worldwide. Passengers at the gate began filming too, their footage flooding X and other platforms. The internet erupted, with voices from every corner demanding accountability. By the time Marcus arrived at the airport with a local news crew in tow, the airline's corporate office was in chaos. Karen, now pale and stammering, tried to backtrack, claiming she'd misspoken. But the damage was done. Aisha's call to Marcus had set off a chain reaction. The lawyer's connections reached a major news outlet, which ran the story with Aisha's video as evidence. Public outrage surged, and boycott calls spread like wildfire. Within hours, the airline's stock plummeted. Sponsors pulled funding. By nightfall, the CEO issued a public apology, announcing Karen's suspension and an investigation into systemic bias within the company. But Aisha wasn't done. At a press conference the next day, flanked by Marcus and her tearful parents, she spoke with a clarity that silenced the room. "This isn't just about me," she said. "It's about every person who's been judged for their skin instead of their character. We deserve better." Her words, raw and unflinching, became a rallying cry. Protests erupted outside the airline's headquarters, and within a week, the company filed for bankruptcy, unable to weather the storm of public backlash and legal battles. Aisha's story didn't end with the airline's collapse. Her courage inspired a movement. Community organizers launched training programs to combat workplace discrimination. Schools invited her to speak, and her viral moment became a case study in civil rights law classes. Aisha herself enrolled in college early, earning a scholarship to study law at Howard University. Years later, standing at her grandmother's grave, Aisha reflected on that day at the airport. She hadn't set out to topple an airline, but she'd learned a truth that carried her forward. One voice, one call, one moment of defiance could change everything. The world wasn't perfect, but Aisha knew she'd carved out a piece of justice not just for herself, but for everyone who'd ever been told they didn't belong. Thank you for listening. If you find it interesting, please like and subscribe to follow the next stories.